All right, late night video, but it's got to be talked about. Should have put this out earlier, guys. I apologize, but we're going to jump right into all the scenarios for this last week's game. And I'm going to say first and foremost, I'm always going to root for the Bears to win. Always, especially on week 18 against the Packers when we've lost for over 5 straight years in a row. That's got to end. And we want to see Caleb do well. We want to see DJ Moore get to 1,000 yards. We want to see DeAndre Swift get to 1,000 yards. We want to see this team do well. And I know it doesn't mean anything in the long scope of things, but there will have impact on the draft scenarios as we go into the offseason. So I know this is jumbled. Those who are looking on the screen, I apologize. I will do my very best to explain it. There's really only scenarios where the Bears can get between the 5th overall pick and the 10th overall pick in this draft. And why that matters is because these teams right around us, there's some of them wanting to go for the same exact positions we are. And if you've been watching my channel, it's clear and obvious to me that the one thing we need is the defensive line in the first round. I understand the offensive line needs to be nailed. Rounds 2, 3, 4, 100%. Let's fix all of it. Interior offensive line, center, everywhere. Let's fix it all. But for the first round, this is such a loaded defensive line class, from edge to defensive tackle. We don't want these guys jumping in front of us. You look right down here. The Saints, if we do win and the Saints lose, they're going for edge. And there's really only a couple edges I would take at the very top of this draft without trading down. The same thing for the Jets. They want an edge. They want a defensive lineman. Mason Graham. We don't want to lose Mason Graham, and they're really our biggest threat to lose Mason Graham. The Jaguars could go for Mason Graham as well, and I won't be shocked if that happens. They also need a cornerback, and there are from some very high-end elite cornerbacks at the top of this draft. Primarily Will Johnson and Travis Hunter, which I think it would be almost impossible for anybody to trade to not trade out of, but to pass up on. The big things at the line for us that you want to look at on this draft are right here. Mason Graham, who this is the NFL mock draft database consensus draft order. I don't agree with all of this. I'll just say that right now. I don't agree with the complete order it's in. I think James Pierce should be higher. A lot of you guys are stuck on the name Nick Scourton because you see him in all the mock drafts. If you want an edge that can't get pressure, that can't tackle, he's your guy. Big, 280 pounds, great arms, great length, but he's not quite quick enough to be able to collapse the pocket. I don't like Nick Scourton at all for the Bears unless we're taking him in the second round. In fact, there's some guys in the second round I would take over Nick Scourton. Guys like Landon Jackson, Princely Umanmielen, Jack Sawyer. In fact, I think those guys will probably end up going in the first round. I digress. So really for the Bears, the only ones I really want them to focus on if they're taking this pick at 9 or 8 or 7 or 6 or 5 are Mason Graham, number 1, Abdul Carter, number 2, and James Pierce is my number 3 right there. We don't want these guys jumping ahead of us and getting them. So you've got the Jaguars to worry about. You got the Panthers to worry about. You got the Jets to worry about. You got the Saints to worry about. The Raiders are almost certainly taking a quarterback. If not, there's a couple wide receivers here between Travis Hunter, Teteoria, McMillan. I mean, and Luther Burden even. There's some guys here that are going to be able to go off the board. So let's run through these scenarios real quick and go over the draft order where it stands now. So as it stands right now, before any games are played, the Bears are in the 9th position. And because of our strength of schedule, these teams we're all tied with will end with a better draft pick than us unless they win and we lose. So in these scenarios, if the Bears win and the Saints lose, we'll have the same record at 5-12, but we'll end up ahead of behind, however you want to look at it. We'll end up with a worse draft pick. We'll end up with number 10 because of strength of schedule there. We cannot pass up San Francisco because they already have 6 wins. We can't get to 6 wins. The worst we can get to is 5. So this is a scenario in which we would fall into the 10th spot. Now, the other thing that can happen is if the Saints lose, or if they win or lose, and we lose, then the Saints are locked into that 9th spot. There's no way they leave that. But then we're right in competition with all these other teams right here, with the Raiders, Panthers, Jets, Jaguars. All of these guys will finish better than us, even if they lose as well. But if any of them win, they leapfrog us. So there's all your games that matter right there to the left. You got the Chargers playing the Raiders, the Dolphins playing the Jets, Saints playing the Buccaneers with huge playoff implications on the line there, the Jaguars and the Colts, and the Panthers and the Falcons. And let's just say for hypothetical speaking, that the Jaguars and the Panthers both win. So the Jaguars playing decently well. They beat the Colts, and the Panthers beat the Falcons because the Panthers are completely unpredictable right now. But the Jets lose to the Dolphins, and the Raiders lose to the Chargers. Say that scenario happens, the Bears would end up in the 7th scenario right there because we would pass up the teams that won ahead of us, Jaguars and Panthers, but we would stay ahead of the teams behind us that lost, so the Jets and the Raiders. So really in this scenario, we just want the Jets to lose and the Panthers to win. The Jets to win, the Panthers to win, and Jaguars to win. I mean, we want all these guys to win it if we lose. If not, it really doesn't matter. We end up at the 10th seed overall. So interesting as it comes down to the wire. We'll be rooting for all of those teams to win. So that's how it works in this scenario. We want the Panthers, Jaguars, Raiders, and Jets all to win tomorrow, and we want the Bears to win. But if they do end up losing, let's face it, probably going to lose to the Packers. But if we do lose, we want those guys to win. If we win, who gives a crap the rest of the day? So those who are tuning in tomorrow, or today, I guess is releasing tonight, appreciate you guys. We'll see you then, and go Bears and bear down.